Imagine dragging yourself to work, doing just enough to avoid getting fired, but your passion's gone. Not dimmed, not tired, gone. Now imagine you're also waking up every morning to a world that feels like it's actively on fire. Cartel violence erupting across 20 Mexican states. Burning cars on highways. National Guard soldiers ambushed. American consulates issuing shelter-in-place alerts. Millions of people living inside a real, physical war zone, and billions more watching it unfold on their screens before they've even had their morning coffee. Here's the question nobody's asking. What does that do to your brain? And what does it have to do with why you, sitting thousands of miles away in your office, your apartment, your side hustle setup, have also quietly stopped trying? Before going further, hit the subscribe button for today's mental health buildup. Today we're connecting two things that seem unrelated but are driven by the exact same neuroscience: the global phenomenon of quiet quitting and the psychology of what happens to human beings when the world around them feels unsafe and uncontrollable. This is the science of survival mode, and understanding it might be the most important thing you watch this week. Let's briefly ground ourselves in what happened, because context matters, and because dismissing this as someone else's problem is itself a symptom of what we're going to talk about. On February 22, 2026, Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, known as El Mencho, the leader of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, one of the most powerful and violent criminal organizations in the world, was killed in a military operation. Within hours, what followed was textbook cartel retaliation: vehicles set on fire across highways, roadblocks, armed clashes in Jalisco, and spreading to over 20 states. More than 25 National Guard members killed. Civilians sheltering in place. American tourists and residents receiving emergency alerts from their consulate. For the people living inside that, this is not a news story. This is their morning. This is the school run. This is whether or not to open the business today. This is what psychologists call ongoing traumatic stress, OTS, a state of chronic, unpredictable threat with no clear end date. And the psychological damage from OTS is severe, documented, and maps almost perfectly onto the neurological profile of burnout. But here's what the research tells us that most people don't know: you don't have to be inside the violence to be affected by it. Simply consuming it, scrolling the footage, watching the alerts, following the body count, activates your brain's threat detection system in ways that are measurable and real. Psychologists even have a term for it: headline stress disorder. And in a world of 24-hour news cycles and autoplay algorithms, it is affecting the cognitive and emotional performance of workers, entrepreneurs, and young people globally, whether they realize it or not. Let's go inside the brain, because this is where quiet quitting and collective trauma meet, and the mechanism is the same. When your brain perceives threat, whether that threat is a cartel roadblock outside your window, a hostile manager in your Zoom call, or the 47th breaking news alert this week, three things happen in sequence. First, your amygdala fires. This is your brain's threat detection and fear center, and it is fast. It doesn't wait for context. It doesn't fact check. It just sounds the alarm. Under chronic activation, repeated day after day, whether from real violence or from consuming violent news, the amygdala becomes hypersensitive. It starts treating everything as a potential threat. Your work email, the ping of a Slack message, an unexpected phone call. The amygdala has been trained to expect danger, and it delivers anxiety on schedule. Second, your prefrontal cortex, your brain's rational, creative, strategic headquarters, goes partially offline. The PFC and the amygdala exist in a neurological seesaw. When one goes up, the other comes down. A hyperactive amygdala directly suppresses prefrontal function. And your PFC is the region responsible for motivation, long-term thinking, creative risk-taking, and the capacity to care about your work beyond the immediate moment. When it dims, so does your drive. Third, your dopamine system downregulates. Dopamine is not the pleasure chemical, it's the anticipation chemical. It's the fuel that makes effort feel worth it. Under chronic stress and threat, the brain's dopamine circuitry reduces its sensitivity. Because in an environment where effort consistently produces no safety, no reward, no control, the brain stops firing that anticipatory signal. It conserves. It protects. And from the outside, that conservation looks exactly like not caring, like giving up, like quiet quitting. Different circumstances. Same neuroscience. Both brains are doing the same thing, going into survival mode to protect what's left. Now here's the distinction that changes everything, and I need you to really hear this. Burnout is what happens when that protective system gets overwhelmed and collapses. The frontal lobes lose gray matter density. Cortisol chronically floods the system. Dopamine crashes. The World Health Organization classifies it as an occupational syndrome, and in populations experiencing ongoing traumatic stress, the crossover into full clinical depression and PTSD is well documented. In communities living through sustained cartel violence, studies show dramatic spikes in anxiety disorders, substance use as self-medication, and what researchers call despair deaths, mortality driven by hopelessness. But quiet quitting, in its earlier form, is often something different. It's your brain's intelligent firewall activating before the collapse. Your hypothalamus, the brain's central regulator, detects unsustainable load and deliberately reduces your motivational output to protect your core functioning. It is not failure. It is a feature. Think of it like your phone going into low power mode. It's not broken. It's not giving up. It's conserving energy until conditions improve. The danger is only if you ignore the signal, push through anyway, and drain the battery entirely. That's when the firewall becomes a breakdown. And in 2026, with global instability, post-pandemic economic fractures, and a news cycle that never sleeps, more people are hitting that wall faster than any previous generation. Let me put faces to this. Picture Valentina, 26, a freelance graphic designer in Guadalajara. Last week, she was sheltering at home while smoke from burning vehicles filled the sky 2 streets away. This week, she's supposed to be pitching a new client. She's sitting at her desk. The brief is open, but her brain, still running its threat detection protocol from 72 hours of genuine physical danger, cannot access the creative regions she needs. She's not being dramatic. She's not being lazy. Her prefrontal cortex is still offline. Then picture Marcus, 34, a project manager in London. He's never been to Mexico, but he spent 40 minutes on Thursday night watching cartel footage on Instagram. Friday morning, he couldn't concentrate, answered emails with half his usual focus, and skipped volunteering for a new initiative. He doesn't know why. He doesn't connect it to the video, but his amygdala does. And then picture Lauren, 41, a business owner in Atlanta running a digital agency. She's watching her team become increasingly flat, disengaged, and reactive. There's no single crisis in their lives, just the accumulated weight of economic instability, global uncertainty, and a news environment that delivers a fresh catastrophe before lunch every day. Her team isn't lazy. Their dopamine systems are running on low, and the environment she creates for them is either going to help those systems recover or finish depleting them. These aren't edge cases. This is the global workforce in 2026. We're going to do something different here, and I mean right now while you're watching, because the neuroscience of recovery is just as real as the neuroscience of breakdown, and I want to give you a felt experience of it, not just a description. First, a breath. Inhale for 4 counts. Hold for 4. Exhale for 4. Do it with me. That right there, that's your vagus nerve activating your parasympathetic system. That's your amygdala receiving a chemical signal that the threat is over. That's your prefrontal cortex beginning to come back online. You just changed your neurochemistry in 12 seconds. That's not wellness influencer content. That's peer-reviewed physiology. Now, here are 3 things grounded in research that will actually move the needle. Not in 6 months. This week. 1. A news boundary. Not a news blackout. A news boundary. Limit consumption to 1 intentional 10-minute window per day. Turn off push notifications. This isn't avoidance, it's amygdala management. You cannot process what you cannot control. Reducing the input reduces the activation. Studies on headline stress disorder show measurable drops in baseline anxiety within 72 hours of this practice alone. 2. A micro-win practice. Every day, write down 3 things, however small, that moved forward. You sent the email. You finished the outline. You made the call. The brain's dopamine system doesn't care about size. It responds to progress. This practice gradually restores the reward anticipation loop that chronic stress has depleted. And for people in genuinely traumatic environments, like communities in the aftermath of cartel violence, research shows that re-engaging agency through small, completable tasks is one of the most powerful early-stage interventions available. 3. Connection. Intentional, non-screen human connection. A phone call. A walk with someone. A conversation that isn't about work or news. When we connect with people we trust, the brain releases oxytocin, which directly suppresses cortisol and reduces amygdala reactivity. Your nervous system was designed to co-regulate with other nervous systems. Isolation, even voluntary isolation in a calm environment, extends the stress response. Connection interrupts it. Now pause the video for 30 seconds. Answer this in the comments before you continue. What is one boundary you will set this week? What? Write it down. Because the act of writing a commitment activates the prefrontal cortex's intention-setting circuitry, and that activation is itself a small step back from survival mode. Here's what I want to leave you with. Whether you're in Guadalajara watching smoke rise from your window, or in Chicago scrolling the news at midnight, or in Lagos trying to keep a team motivated in an uncertain economy, your brain is doing the same thing. It is responding to perceived threat by conserving its most precious resources. It is protecting you. And that protection, as long as it doesn't become a permanent state, is not something to be ashamed of. It is evidence of an extraordinarily sophisticated survival system doing exactly what it was built to do. The question, for all of us, is what comes next? Because survival mode is not a place to live. It's a place to pass through. And passing through requires the same things, whether you're healing from cartel trauma or recovering from a year of invisible overwork: safety, recovery, agency, and connection. The neuroscience is identical. The humanity is identical. Your brain is not your enemy. It is not broken. It checked out because it had to. The work now, for you, for your team, for all of us watching this, is to create the conditions that let it come back. Drop your story in the comments. Are you in quiet quitting mode right now? Are you watching the world burn from your phone and feeling it in your work? Are you a leader trying to hold your team together through chaos you didn't create? Tell me. Tag someone who needs to hear this today. Share this if it landed, because the person who needs it most probably won't find it on their own. Like and subscribe to Unspoken Fractures. We do this every week. Mental health, psychology, and the real stuff nobody says out loud. See you next time. Your brain is smarter than the chaos. Trust it. Then help it recover.